Hi, continuing on our description of how physics-based models work, we are now going to look at what are the core ideas. The reason we are going to do a little bit of philosophy of modeling and things like that, a little bit, so that you get an idea of how we came about the way in which we are doing things. This did not happen by accident. We actually tried many different things for thousands of years, until we have come to a particular version of how we do things now. This will change over time. So this is not a static thing, as you will see, but you have to have an idea of how we came about what is today called the scientific method, and what is called engineering design and so on, and where does the kind of modeling that we do, where does it fit? Okay, so so we're going to start out with philosophy of modeling, and this is a very crude introduction because first caveat that I'm going to say is that I'm not an expert on the philosophy of modeling. So let me be very clear. This is what I'm going to say is a compilation of what I learned from consulting a few experts that I know, combined with what I know about modeling. So just meant to give you a very crude idea. If you want to learn more about it, you have to take courses in actually philosophy of science and things like that from actual experts. Okay, so having said that, let's start. My understanding is that this whole business of modeling started with a very simple problem, or simple looking problem, which is how do you find cures for diseases? So it actually started with medicine and not engineering. So that was the first time when people had to look at cure for diseases. And in ancient Greece, there was this school of medicine, which is called the dogmatic school of medicine. And it was a medical sect. And it was based on the works of Hippocrates. And what it says is that if you want to find a cure for a disease, you need to know the hidden causes or principles, as well as the more evident causes. So there is not only just evident cause, like if you have a wound, the cause is very clear, but if you have a cough, the cause is not very clear. So you have to have some hidden causes or principles, and you have to know the natural actions of these principles and their different functions. That is, you need to know something about the inside. I mean, today we accept that automatically, but this was not a very accepted thing in the early days of philosophy. So these core principles or hidden causes or the four elements or humors of the body. So this is a very this is a very complex way of talking about the body, looking at things that are not at all evident or not even accessible by experiment. So their idea is that any experiment that we do is preceded by the reasoning based on principles. So these principles are things that you cannot directly access. So this is actually called the notion of a hidden state. And it tries to answer a question as to why something happens. So this went on for a while, and then a new school of thought, which was quite different, came about, and this is called the Empirical school of medicine. And this is in reaction to the dogmatic school, apparently. So what its basic idea is that there is no way for you to find the causes. Nature is incomprehensible. What you have is no point in worrying about the hidden causes. So the idea is just use experience to find remedies rather than to try and locate hidden causes. So this is entirely based on experience, and it's a very fundamental statement, which is a reasonable which is a reasonable statement, which says what matters are not the causes but the cures. So of course, if you're medical, you don't really care why something is caused as long as you can cure it, right? So that's the idea. And it is based on a tripod of three things: observation, history, and analogy. So these are the three ways in which people were reasoning. So this is the empiric school of medicine. Then there was a methodic or rational school of medicine, and this said that the core idea is awareness of general recurring features of any kind of disease. So there is the idea of abstraction. So these were the people who were pushing this idea of abstraction, so to speak, and that knowledge of cause bears no relation to method of cure. So this was their fundamental idea. So it's kind of interesting. You can see that they all had different flavors of how they thought about it, and their idea was that the disease itself suggests the cure through reasoning. For example, if you have hunger, the answer to that is food. If you have thirst, the answer to that is water, and so on. So their idea was, if you knew what was depleted, you could then the cure is based on replenishment. So this was reasoning. It talks about how something happens and not why. And its basic idea is use reasoning to find solutions. So reason is the most important aspect of this, and that's the methodic or rational school of medicine. So these were the basic ideas. Now we come to some of the more modern theories of knowledge. So this